All right, we are streaming. So, what we're going to start today, this 3-3, is mostly review. You did it last year in Algebra 1, and it's about slopes of lines. Okay? So, let's talk about slopes of lines for a few minutes. So, first things first. Y'all remember that M is what represents slope? And y'all, there's no reason for it. We Googled it during first period the other day. It's just random. Like, there's no known reason why M. There are some people who've given some ideas on why, but there's no actual proof of anything. It's just people's thinking. Okay, so M is just what we use to stand for slope. Now, I bet when I say slope, there's two things that come to your mind. What are they? Come on, y'all. What are the two things you think of when I say slope? X and Y, yeah. Do y'all remember rise over run? Remember that phrase? So, rise over run. Normally I say slope and everybody's like, rise over run. Let's think about what rise is for a minute. Think of a coordinate plane in your head. What variable rises? Y's, right? So the rise is how much the y changes, the change in the y. And then which variable runs? Which variable goes left or right? X. So the run is your change in x, right? Now change in just means you're subtracting two y's and you're subtracting two x's. So we can say y minus y. We can say x minus x. And I bet you remember it's looking like this with a little 2 and a little 1. Right? So those little 2's and little 1's, the only relevance they have is that you have to make sure this is one point on your line and this is the other point on your line, which means whatever y you start with on top, you have to start with its buddy x on the bottom. Okay? David, go put it on my desk. Thank you. Okay, now, if we look at number 1 on our practice page, I've got one here, let me see. If we look at number 1 on our practice page, we've got B, skills practice, my bad, y'all. I was like, that's not what I remember. So we've got S is -1, 2, and W is 0, 4. Remember, in a point, X is your first number, Y is your second number, right? So this is an X, this is a Y. So if we're going to do our slope, we're going to use 2 and 4 on top. Now, which one should we do first? Does it matter? Does it make any difference which one we pick first? It doesn't make any difference. So we're going to pick one of these for the top first. Which one? 4 or 2? Which one, David? 4 or 2? 4. So if we do 4 minus 2, then on the bottom, we have to use 0 first because 0 is the x that goes with 4, and we used 4 first on top. So we'll do 0 minus -1 because that's a -1. Y'all with me? Okay. So now let's take care of our math. What's 4 minus 2? 2. And then down here, what happens when you've got this minus negative business? What do you do with that? So you add the opposite, or keep, change, right? So what's 0 plus 1? 1. And then what does that simplify to? What is 2 over 1? 2. And so that is our slope. 2. Just 2. Y'all see how that works? All right, so let's do number 2 together. So on number 2, we've got G is -2, 5, and H is 1, -7, right? So what Y do you want to use first, Jonathan? 5. So we'll do 5 minus -7, because this is a Y and this is a Y, right? And then on the bottom, what do we have to use first, Anthony? What do we have to use first on the bottom? -2. Because we used 5 first, we have to use its x first. So we'll do -2 minus 1. Michelle, what happens when we have this minus negative thing up right here? What do we do with that? We have to add a positive, right? So what's 5 plus 7? 12. Okay, now I want to talk about this down here for a minute. A lot of people get confused when they've got a negative and they're subtracting. What I like to do, because I feel like my brain processes it better, is I like to add the opposite. So add a negative in there. So what is -2 plus -1, Cameron? -2 plus -1? -3. Okay, now, can we simplify that? It'd be -4, wouldn't it? So our answer for this one's going to be -4. That's our slope. Y'all see it? Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a couple minutes and do number 3 and number 4 on your own. Okay? So we're going to practice this. You got a pencil, David? So we're going to practice this on the skills practice. Do number 3 and number 4. And I'm going to be working them up here. So if you get lost, you can look up here, okay? So number 3 and number 4 on your own. But try not to look because you're trying to practice it, okay? So try to do it on your own first. And then just look if you need help. Are y'all done? Boy, the roof is popping today, isn't it? It normally doesn't pop like this until the afternoon.
In this box class, I have 6th period.
It gets loud, don't it? Yeah. My 6th period class, it gets real loud. I think he's interesting over there. Okay. Are you getting what I'm getting? Are you getting the same thing? So this is review. This is stuff that you should already know, but we need to refresh our memory sometimes, right? If your numbers are coming out opposite, that means you're putting your X on the top. So watch that, because that's a mistake that people make. If you're not getting the same sign, so like I got a negative here, but you got a positive, then just watch your signs. You've messed up on your sign somewhere. Or you put a point backwards. Like you put instead of putting the -5 here, you put the +5 there from the other point. Okay? So just really watch those things. Okay, let's look at number 5 and 6. So on 5 and 6, we're still finding slope, but now we have a graph. Do you remember how to find the slope if you have a graph? How can you do that? Do y'all know? So, right, we're going to use those coordinates. Now, we could take the coordinates and just use the formula. That's possible. And if your mind works like mine, you might like that better because I prefer to do that. But you also, if you have a graph, you can just count them. You can count your rise and your run. So we can count from N to P. So if we're going to count it, we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my rise is 6. And then my run is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My run is 8. So rise over run, 6 over 8. Can we simplify it? Yes, sir. I've already turned grades in, buddy. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. They've already printed report cards. They printed them yesterday and they will mail them today. Yeah. Okay, what is 6 over 8? Can we simplify that? What goes into 6 and goes into 8? What goes into both of them? 2 goes into both of them. How many times does 2 go into 6? How many times does 2 go into 8? 4. So that's 3 over 4 because we're dividing 6 and 8 both by 2, right? But do y'all know we don't have to go from this point all the way up to that point. We could go from this point to like here. As long as we find another place where it crosses, we don't have to go the whole way, right? So if we did that, it's going to be 1, 2, 3 is our rise, and our run is 1, 2, 3, 4. So it would still be 3 over 4. Do y'all see what I'm talking about? Or what if you started at P and you went down to N? So if we did that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but what direction did we go? So that makes it a negative 6, right? But then when we do this, that's going to be a negative 8. And what is negative 6 divided by negative 8? Think again. What's a negative divided by a negative? It's a positive. So you're still going to get a positive 3 over 4, even though it was a negative and a negative, right? Everybody following me so far? Okay, I want you guys to try to find the slope on 6. Try to find the slope on number 6. You do 6 on your own. Juliana, do this one on your paper. One of y'all translate, please. Tell Juliana to do number 6. Huh? Anthony, wake up and translate for me. Tell Juliana to do number 6 for me. To try to do number 6. What'd she say? Okay, that's okay. That's okay. Miss Ursi can help. Miss Gomez can help you, okay? You got 2? Are you sure? Go back and check. There's something you're missing something. It's a negative 2. Now let's talk about that for a second. First of all, the line goes what direction? It goes down. So you know your slope has to be negative. So you need to watch for things like that, right? Now, the second thing, we can count from W to T up 1, 2. But then when we go that way, that's going to be a negative 1, right? So that's going to be 2 over negative 1, which is negative 2. Or what if we went from T to W? How would that change things? So, no, it would still be negative 2. But we went down 2, so that makes that a negative 2 here. And then over this way, that makes that a positive 1. So we would have a negative 2 and a positive 1. What's it still going to be? It's still going to be negative 2. So it's still negative 2 either way. Do y'all see? Your slope will be the same no matter what. No matter which way you count it, your slope's still going to be the same. But you've got to pay attention to whether you're going up or going down. Okay? Going left or going right. Because that's a positive or a negative. Okay. On 7 through 10, they gave us points. And they're asking us if these two lines, AB and line MN, are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So we're going to take a minute, get your graph paper. You're going to need your graph paper. And we're going to graph these lines. So we're going to start with number 7. We need to graph point A, which is 0, 3, and point B, which is 5, negative 7. So 0, 3, and 5, negative 7. We're going to graph those points and draw that line. Okay? So 0, 3 would be 0, and then up 3, that's going to be point A. And then 5, negative 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then down 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's B. And now we're going to take our ruler, or anything you got, or I don't care if you use a ruler or not, but you're going to see this better if you do use a ruler. Did I give y'all rulers? There's a box with rulers. Go get you one. You're going to want it. Or you can use your protractor if you want to. Did everybody in this class get the pouch?
Pretty sure.
Y'all know what I did not anticipate on giving out the pouches? People who leave school and never come back. I don't get their pouches back. I've had like 5 this year. Mm-hmm. Who? I don't know if I remember all the names. James Black. Amari. He's been dropped. He's not on my roster anymore. What happened? Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Okay, so that's line AB. You got that line AB drawn on your graph paper? So you should have your graph paper in front of you because you're going to be drawing a line AB. You're going to be drawing some lines here. And then we're going to draw line MN. So MN, M is negative 6, 7. And N is negative 2, negative 1. So we're going to draw that one. So negative 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's M right there. And then N is negative 2, negative 1. That's N. And we're going to draw that line. Okay? Once you have your lines drawn, we're going to find the slope of both of the lines. Now, that's not part of our instructions on this paper. This is just something we're doing as part of our lesson. Okay? So we're going to find the slope. So if I count my slope for this line, first of all, what kind of slope are both of them? What sign should they have? They should both be negative. So that's something we should keep in our mind while we're finding slope, that they should both be negative. If we don't get negative, we know we did something wrong. Okay? So, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to count from B to A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I went up 10. And then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I went that way, so it's a negative 5. So my slope for AB, is going to be 10 over negative 5, which is what? What does that simplify to? What is that? Almost. Negative 2. Negative 2. Watch them signs. Does that matter? Yeah, it does. Okay, and then we're going to do the slope for MN. So we're going to go, I'm going to start at M and go to N. So I'm going to go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I went down 8, so my rise is negative 8. And then I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4. So the slope of MN is going to be negative 8 over 4. Now, what is negative 8 over 4 simplified? Negative 2. Do you notice something about their slopes? They're the same. And what do those lines look like? What do you notice about them? They're parallel, right? Okay. I want you guys to go ahead and graph the lines for number 8. So graph line AB, graph line MN. Okay? I'll be doing it up here while you're doing it on your paper. So AB, we've got negative 1, 4. 2, 3, 4. That's A. And then B is 2, negative 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, negative 5 is B. I'm going to draw this line. M is negative 3, 2. 2, 3. M. N is 3. 2, 3, 0. That's going to be N. Okay, once you have them drawn, go ahead and find your slopes, okay? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. So slope of MN equals 2 over negative 6. Are these lines parallel? No. They do intersect, don't they? Do they intersect at a 90-degree angle? You know, a 90-degree angle is a right angle. So if they intersect at a right angle, all four angles have to be 90 degrees. Do they intersect like that? No. So they're not parallel, but they're also not perpendicular, which is what lines are that intersect at 90 degrees. So in our directions, these would just be called neither, but what they're really called is intersecting lines. Because they intersect, right? In our directions, if we were labeling them, we would say they're neither, but neither is really not a description of lines. It's just saying what they're not. Notice their slopes. You notice their slopes? Now, we're going to come back to this in a few minutes, but I will tell you in advance, intersecting lines have nothing special about their slopes at all. They're just different. Their slopes will just be different. If they intersect, they'll just have different slopes. That's it. Nothing else. It doesn't have to be a 1/3 and a 3. It doesn't have to be that. They just have to be different. Okay? All right, so let's go ahead and graph number 9 together. Or y'all graph it and I'll graph it. So on number 9, we're going to be graphing A is -2, -7. B is 4, 2. So let's graph that one. I'm going to graph it and then find its slope because that last one was a little confusing to do when I had 2 lines on there already. So I'm going to graph it first and I'll find the slope. -2, -7, 2, 3, 6, 7. That's going to be A. 4, 2. That's going to be B. I'm going to go ahead and find my slope. So I'm going to count from A to B. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So my slope of AB is going to be 9/6, which simplifies to 3/2. And then M is -2, 0, and N is 2, 6. So -2, 0, that's M. 2, 4, 5, 6, 2, 6, that's going to be N over there. Need to find this slope. So up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then over 1, 2, 3, 4. So my slope for MN is going to be 6/4, which simplifies to 3/2. What do you notice about those lines? They're parallel. What do you notice about their slopes? They're the same. What conclusion can you draw about parallel lines and their slopes? They're going to be the same. So if you know 2 lines are parallel, you know they have the same slope. If you know 2 lines have the same slope, you know they are parallel. Does that make sense? All right. What do y'all bet that last set of lines is going to be? Like if you're just guessing. Do you think they're going to be perpendicular maybe? Since the direction said, are they parallel, perpendicular, or neither, and we have yet to have perpendicular, you bet they're going to be perpendicular. All right, let's go ahead and graph them. Number 10. So we're going to graph number 10. Graph them, find their slopes, and then let's talk about what we've got, okay? So A is -4, -8. B is 4, -6. M is -3, 5. N is -1, -3. Okay, so I'm going to do A first. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's my A. B is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. -6. 3, 4, 5, 6. There's my B. Can't get a hold of my ruler. I'm going to find my slope up to over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my slope of AB is 2 over 8, which simplifies to 1 over 4, right? Is that what y'all got too? Did y'all get 1 over 4 for your slope for AB? Yes? You haven't even started. Oh, gotcha. You got MN, you already grabbed your MN? So you're kind of, we're probably on the same amount of time. We're just doing them in different order. Is that okay? Yeah, we don't have to do it in the same order. Our brains work differently. Okay, so M, -3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -3, 5, that's M. N is -1, -3, there's my N. What do you think, Zaylee? Do they look like they're perpendicular? Look like it, don't they? Like if I take a piece of paper and I stick a piece of paper in that corner right there, that looks like that's going to be 90 degrees, don't it? I grabbed 2 pieces of paper. I can't get them together. Yep. So what do we call these lines that cross at 90 degrees like that? We call them perpendicular. So these are perpendicular lines because they cross at 90 degrees. So they're special intersecting lines. They intersect, but they do it in a special way, and that's at 90 degrees. Now, I've already found my slope for AB, and it's 1 over 4. Huh? So I'm going to go ahead and find my slope of MN. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but I went down, so it's negative. And then 1, 2. So I've got -8 over 4, which is what? No, -8 over 2, my bad. -8 over 2, which is -4 or -4 over 1. Notice those slopes. One's a positive, one's a negative, which makes sense if you think about it. Because David, if you've got 2 lines and they're crossing, one's got to be a positive, one's got to be a negative, don't they? Like you can't have two positives if they're crossing at 90 degrees, right? And then notice that this has 1 over 4 and this has 4 over 1. So they flipped. Do y'all know what that's called when a fraction flips like that? What do we call that when a fraction flips? Reciprocal. Y'all, perpendicular lines, their slope. Okay? So if we're talking about perpendicular lines, let me go to this right here. Perpendicular lines. Y'all can't see that, can you? Perpendicular lines. Their slope is opposite. Now, opposite is signs, right? So, one's a positive, one's a negative. Reciprocal. And this means you flip it. Okay? So, if a line slope is 2 over 3, perpendicular to that would be what? What's going to be perpendicular to that? What do you think, Juliet? What's the opposite sign? This one's a positive, so this one's got to be a... And then, when you flip that, what do you get? Three over 2. Yes, ma'am. She's getting there. Do y'all see it? So if you've got 4 over 5, Johnny, what would the opposite reciprocal be? Negative 5 over 4. If you've got 7 over 9. No, let's do this. Let's say you have negative 7 over 9. Brandon, what would the opposite reciprocal be? Almost. If this one's already a negative, what's this one going to be? Positive 9 over 7. Right? If one's a negative, the other one has to be a positive. Cameron, if you've got 3 over 8, what's the opposite reciprocal of that going to be? So opposite signs. This one's a positive. What's this one going to be? Negative. And then 8 over 3. Good. All right, I'm going to ask you a tricky one. Who wants to answer the tricky one? You? All right. What is the opposite of 5? Opposite reciprocal of 5 going to be? Yes. So, how did he get that? Well, how do we make 5 a fraction? We just put it over a 1, right? So when you flip it, you got a 1 on top and a 5 on bottom. Y'all see it? Okay, so that is perpendicular lines. I'm going to go ahead and stop, and we will work more. We'll finish this up on Monday, and then I'll let y'all work on it on Monday, okay?